Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone here joining us today for the second day of the Prosperity Blueprint Workshop with Tara Pilling from Diamond Mind. We are so happy that you have joined us today. We understand that some of you weren't able to join yesterday for the first session. There was a bit of a technical hiccup. Everything is now running and flowing. You should have gotten an email with a replay. If you haven't, check your spam or reach out to your success advisor and they will make sure that you get that replay. Now, yesterday in day one, Tara shared with us the secret number one to unlocking the real wealth. And that's all about imagination, allowing ourselves to dream. That was my biggest takeaway, to allow. And my second biggest takeaway was that money is a magnifier. It isn't good, it isn't bad. It will just magnify that what you desire. That's why it is so important that we get crystal clear in what you want. So, did you do your assignment? This is yesterday's assignment. I'm just showing to you. I did mine. Once you get your exercises done every day, make sure that you put them on the Facebook private group, and also feel free to record any pieces of this call or any call, or make a picture with your phone, tag us with @DiamondMindConsulting, because the person that puts out all of their assignments, they might get a prize from Tara Pilling, a very special prize. So get those exercises done. You know, when you start writing, you start imagining, and those images, then they go to your heart, and your heart is connected to your subconscious mind. So you start to feel, and then you feel it so much, so badly, that you have to take action. And with your action, there's a reaction. And if at the beginning, it's, you know, you are there with your paper and nothing comes out, it's okay. It will come out maybe while you're showering, while you're washing the dishes, and then you go and grab that pen and paper and you're right. I know that from experience. Okay, so before we start, I invite you to turn your camera on, be a participator, not an spectator. Also, turn off all distractions. This is for you, and you want to give it all your focus and your attention. If you have any questions, Anna from the Dream Team is going to collect them, and they will be answered in Friday's Q&A session. Yes, that's all for now. And now I invite you to put your hands together and let's all welcome Tara Pilling.
Thank you, Yamili. So Yamili is over in Germany, and she's from Mexico City and is a professional dancer in Germany. And I'm so grateful to have this phenomenal team. So if you don't have somebody on the team supporting you and you would like some support, we've got Yamili, Christopher, Rebea, Anna, we've got Tracy and Toby. So please feel free to put your name in the chat box if you need some support or you're looking for some support, because we're here to support you. Okay. My mentor, the late great Bob Proctor, he'd say, you got to do it yourself and you can't do it alone. So we really need each other. Okay. So I'm so happy and grateful that those of you that were able to get here are here. These calls are recorded, but you're going to get the most when you're showing up, whether that is like here or whether that's watching the recording. But I know how those paradigms are with the recording. So the Dream Team and myself want to make sure that we're nudging you back, Because remember yesterday I was sharing around like how distracted we are and the fact around the goldfish. I was really thinking about that this morning, early morning, because I have habits of a millionaire. One of those habits are that when I wake up, I meditate. And then I go into visioneering and I pray. I spend time in movement and nature. And as I was meditating this morning, because I'm so excited about today's event, and I start working with spirit and in prayer the night before, my mind, as I was sitting there in meditation, I saw the goldfish, right? And so I want to remind you, you're going to have good days and you're going to have not so good days. But we really got to eliminate those distractions because it is that focus. Whatever we focus on, it's going to grow. And my wish for all of you is that you're writing notes. And if the average human, and this is a fact, Dr. Amen from the Amen Institute, he's the leading brain expert in the world. He says, when your brain works right, your mind works right, which I love. But he says the average human being has, I think it's like the same or less by 1%, the same attention span as a goldfish. And I was thinking about that. I was like, man, even myself, like, can we do better? Well, we all can do better. I can do better. So I was like, yeah, I gotta like really, at times step away from those distractions. And one thing I would suggest, spending many years studying with Tony Robbins, was just shut off the news. Stop watching the news. It's negative, and the focus of the news is drama, chaos, and confusion. Remember, whatever you focus on grows. So why would we want to focus on drama? Why would we want to focus on all that fear? And by the way, the fastest way to control you is through fear. Okay, so let's like eliminate those distractions and be here, and let's get our prosperity assignments in. Tag us. I know some of you have sent those privately, but we'd love for you to tag us on media. We'd love for you to share that with us. Every time you do, we're going to get your name in the hat for a personal little package that's going to come in the mail from me, from yours truly. And we're really excited to share that with you. I love giving gifts. So if you like getting gifts, and if you're open to, prosperity and more wealth, remember I said yesterday, if I popped over at your house and I knocked at the door, hey, Raylan, I got $10,000 for you. Would you open up the door? So you got to be open to prosperity. Nature abhors a vacuum. Some of you've got to create space. Some of you got to create more space for the good that you desire. That's why the worst thing you can do is have a bunch of stuff holding space, right? If you want a new wardrobe and you've got an old wardrobe and you're hoping you're going to fit into those clothes you fit into when you were 18, you probably got to start giving those clothes away, keeping price tags on clothes and not wearing them. You can ask Christopher. He's the feng shui expert here in the group. Very bad energy. That's not good. Okay. So you got to create space. So this is where I mentioned yesterday, if you're holding hurt, if you're holding resentments, that takes up space. That's the kinks in your bank account. That's the kinks in allowing more of the good that you desire. So I hope this is getting you thinking. And remember the formula: writing causes thinking. That's why we're sharing these prosperity exercises. If you need any support, we're here to support you. Put your questions in the chat box and let us know, because we're more than happy to support you with that. And we wanted you yesterday, day one, remember there was only 2 things you needed to know. Who remembers? So if you're here, I know you were here yesterday, but if you were here yesterday, what were those 2 things? Put it in the chat box. How many of you, again, you got to write notes, you got to listen. I encouraged you to listen to the call even again. There's only 2 ways we change our paradigms. And remember, the paradigm's the devil. That's at genetic and environmental programming. It's repetition. Repetition is the mother of all learning. It's repetition, right? And emotion. Yes, Erica. But what were the 2 things that you needed to know to create and to generate more wealth? Well, the first thing, you got to know where you are, right? Where are you? Remember, dissatisfied, that dissatisfaction state, it's a good place. Because if you're not happy where you are, or if there's a dream, and I hope you're all dreaming, because your spirit is for fuller expansion and expression. And you're here to bring more of yourself to the world. And today is all about yourself. And I would suggest that you print out those gifts. I'm going to read a little bit from the Yourself article. That's really deep. You're going to have to read that article many, many, many times to get it in and impress it on the subconscious mind. Okay. And the other thing you needed to know to generate more wealth is you got to know where you're going. Team, I posted a picture in the chat today. Maybe you could even, if you can, the technology, post that into the chat box for everyone. That would be great. So that was day one. And you were to write the vision of, and really what real wealth means to you. You were to spend some time writing down your wants and writing out what that would look like in your life, using the law of assumption, which was shared with you. And maybe, team, you could post some of those free gifts in the chat box as well. That's been given to you and it's landed in your email. And again, if you're having any difficulties, reach out to your advisor or let us know here. But you've got to assume that what it is you desire, it's already here, because you're using the law of assumption all the time anyways. Most of you, and it's part of that genetic and environmental programming. It's part of that, right? The subconscious, the paradigm is where you're assuming the worst. You're assuming more bills, right? And guess what? Universal consciousness is no problem, right? Here you go. I'm going to send you more of what you're focused on. So this is why, having a goal to get out of debt is a really bad idea, because the universe doesn't hear, oh, you want to get out of debt. It just hears debt, right? So you want to focus on wealth. You want to focus on success. Even maybe get that on sticky notes, wealth and success, so that your focus is always on wealth and success. And one of the fastest ways, I talked yesterday and shared around fear, which is ignorance, which is when we're stuck and worried and doubt, versus faith, which is where we're getting educated and the understanding, right? We've got to get on that side of faith, but it's being present. The present moment is the gift. This is where we really show up in our lives and we're focused on what we're grateful for. And I get it, it's been a tough go for many people. And I know all of you have different, things that you're going through in your lives and obstacles and challenges. When do you grow the most? It's through those. But even in those obstacles and challenges, there's always something to be grateful for, because again, it's the power of gratitude. So that's one thing that I would just want to remind you of, especially with day one, and then getting out that vision. There was a couple of people that messaged me today that are like, yeah, I want to, post, but it's personal and I don't want to share in media. Well, just take a book. You can put it over top or take a picture of us and just tag Diamond Mind. I get it. Some of those things are personal to you, but you've got to, again, in some way, you got to declare it. You got to hold yourself accountable. Accountability is really the glue to commitment. And every time you do that, we're going to see that and we're going to get your name in the hat for the prize. And, it's just, I was sharing around the lottery winner, right? Like winning the millions of dollars. Like on some level, you got to create the space and be open to it. And you got to take action, right? If you want to win the lottery, you got to go buy a lottery ticket. Although like I said, that depends on if that's your goal and that's your dream. And there is, and you could search it on YouTube. There is an older lady who has continuously won the lottery, and she uses all these practices and principles and laws around manifestation. Okay, just so you know, she wins it every time. And they've done documentaries and everything on her around her winning all these lotteries. So today is all about creating the image of wealth. Do you have an image of wealth? Are you walking, talking, thinking, right? Are your habits, are your attitudes, are your belief systems, do they all align with, of course, what it is you desire? Because you got to create the image of wealth. And, we think in picture. I shared that yesterday. We think in pictures. So we have to have a picture of wealth and what that means to us. So in today's exercise, and I think it might have been posted in the side chat here. Thank you, ladies. Today's exercise, it's a Canva exercise. And this is where you're going to go in and pop a beautiful photo of you. Rebea, when I was creating this, I took the beautiful photo of you with Francine and the team, and I popped it in there. So you'd pop that beautiful photo of you, you put your name, and you just fill it out, right? And this is like, you're creating this is your prosperity. This is like you seeing you. What is it? Is it that best-selling international New York best-selling book? Is it starting that new company? Is it maybe, and I believe personally, that real wealth starts in your home. I teach and lead our consultants. I was sharing that on a call yesterday, that it really starts in your home. So that's where it started for me. That's where these principles started. It was like, yeah, I got to be the leader that my family's looking for, running around, being disengaged, freaking out, it's, we're all a product of a product, right? It wasn't working. So I applied these practices and principles at home first. And, there's going to be some days where you're going to miss the mark. That means to sin, where we miss the mark, where we're not showing up as our best self. Well, the more you increase your awareness, the more you can't help but, go, okay, this isn't working. And then you correct yourself, right? And Dr. Maxwell Maltz in Psycho-Cybernetics talks about this. It's kind of like the zigzag effect. It's like you're correcting, you're learning, you're growing. I mean, ultimately, a rocket ship is failing its way to the moon. And that's what you're going to do. But it's through raising your awareness, raising your consciousness. And remember, there is no causes other than your own state of consciousness. The image you have right now, okay, so we have an image that we reflect to the world. We have two images. We have the image that we reflect to the world, and then we have an inner image. We've got to get the inner image aligned with the prosperity we desire. So remember, it's, if you were to see lines of frequency here, right? And let's say this is where you're at. And by the way, how is our image formed? Well, our image was formed in our little life, right? It was formed through, how confident were your parents? How successful were they, right? It's your caregivers, your parents, the media you were exposed to. Can you imagine kids in the last 3 years? Like, man, we need leadership. So it's all these things that form the child's image, the self-image. So this is the image maker lesson. So the great news is we know the problem is always the paradigm. The great news is we get to create an image of wealth now, an image of prosperity. And that image has to match what it is that you desire. Remember, where are you and where are you going to? That's the picture that's in the chat box, right? So your image, if your image is here, and let's say you're making $50,000 a year, I shared that yesterday around me working in physio, and let's say you want to make 12 times that. Well, you see, it's a raise in vibration. It's an increase in frequency. Let's say you want to write that book, you want to be in the best shape of your life. Remember, real wealth includes everything. Riches is your finances, it is your wealth, but it's your health as well, and it's your happiness. So this is a raise in vibration. So if you think of these levels of frequency like a radio station, right? If I want to get on a certain radio station, I have to tune into it. Remember, everything is created twice. So you've got to get the inner image. It has to match this person. And this is why you continue to get the results you're getting, is because you're staying on this frequency. You're acting out of that old genetic and environmental program that keeps you stuck. And this is the problem why most people stay stuck and why most people are staying in poverty consciousness. By the way, anywhere you're pointing a finger. By the way, I got the Buddha behind me. 3 fingers are pointing back at you. This shows up as blame, deflection, right? Anger, resentment. I get it. Some of you have been hurt. I get it. I come from a background where there was some trauma. I think everybody on some level has been hurt and there's some trauma, and I'm so sorry for whatever you've gone through. But guess what? You are a big girl and a big boy, and you get to pull up your big girl and boy underwear now, and you get to say, you know what? This is my life. And you get to declare dominion. Friends, this is really what it means to be a sovereign being. No longer are you a plaything. No longer are you living from the outside, but you start to understand these principles and you declare that dominion, and it starts inside of you. When you understand the way the paradigm works, right? All that inner hurt, and again, remember that nature abhors a vacuum, all that stuff that's taking up space, that negative stuff, it's not letting in the good that you desire. So, you need the evidence on the outside of lack. You need the evidence on the outside of poverty, of illness and disease. You need that evidence. So it's not about changing what's going on out there. It's about changing here. So you've got to declare that you are a leader, that you're the leader you're looking for, that you're going to move towards these greater levels of health, wealth, and happiness. But it starts within. You've got to get the image, because we think in picture. And it's so important that the picture within matches the frequency of the prosperity exercise that you wrote out in day one. How many of you got that exercise done, by the way? I want to see how many of you are coachable. Just throw it in the chat box. Did you get the exercise done? Because that's another important thing here. This is what the 3% of the planet, did you know the 3% has all the wealth on the planet? Well, the 97% of people are stuck in victim consciousness, poverty consciousness. That 3% understands these principles. They understand what real wealth is. Okay. And by the way, you can have a lot of money and you can be poor. So real wealth is not just money, although money is important. And I covered that yesterday. Okay. So are you getting to, if you didn't put yes in the chat box, move your butt, right? That's the action part of this. We can all sit here and gather information and show up and have fun together. I mean, it's a free event. So that's sometimes the challenge. You got to have some skin in the game in order to see that you're worth it and get that value. But if you are not taking action, nothing is going to change in your life. You got to be taking action. But you can't just take action for just even these 4 days. It's what we do every single day that's going to make the biggest shift in our life and where we're going to experience that transformation. So, we think in picture, and we've got to get the picture of wealth in here. That's why we gave you the prosperity exercise to have fun with, to be creative. Even on day one, there was a third page where you could start doodling, pulling out your coloring pens and having fun, cutting out magazine clippings. I know some of you have done that. And first of all, for those of you that haven't, I know there's a few of you that aren't here that have sent me your shares as well. I'm cheering you on, because it is the action. Action is absolutely essential. Now, remember, with that picture that's on the inside, it all starts with the thought. Everything starts with a thought. Your thoughts are things. Okay. So, what do you think about yourself? If you were to stand in front of the mirror and look at yourself, most importantly, what do you believe other people think about you? That's a really important one here. What do you think other people think of you? I think that the inner picture, there's oftentimes a lot of limitation there. There's a lot of judgment. We're so worried about what other people think. We're trying to be something other than ourselves. Now, you're a snowflake. Remember, we covered that. There's nobody else like you on this planet. You have very specific superpowers and talents and gifts that nobody else has. So you want to bring more of that to the world. And you've got to go in and do that housekeeping around your thoughts, around your beliefs, around your attitudes. And you want to honestly take a look at what are the actions that you're taking? What is your habit nature? Now, here I'm going to share with you. Now, we know the problem is always the paradigm. And remember, it's only through repetition can we shift that paradigm. But here, the Yourself article, I want to read a couple things with you, and you can read along. So I posted this for all of you. I want to talk to you about the livingness there is in being yourself. It has at least the merit of simplicity. Don't you like that? I think an older version of me, everything felt so complicated. One of my favorite movies is The Runaway Bride, because I really relate to how Julia Roberts was trying to be something for everybody, and she didn't even know who she was. That's why my mentor, Bob, would say, you got to study yourself. You know, what do you love? What makes your heart sing? Where is there something that you're really interested in? Again, get those ideas out. So yet that is what so many are constantly trying to do. The self that is their own is not good enough for them. And so they're always trying to go one better than what God has made, with endless strain, struggle as the consequence. The only possible way of progress is by following an idea. That's day one, the idea, getting the goals out, the idea that is always a stage ahead of us. But the mistake is not seeing that its attainment is a matter of growth. And that growth must be the expansion of something that already exists within us. Doesn't that feel good? It's not, we're not lacking anything. You do not lack anything. By law, your creator, whatever you call creator, spirit, God, Allah, I mean, universal consciousness, I don't care what you call it, the Bugs Bunny, I mean, you were made perfect. You are perfect, whole, and complete. And therefore implies our being what we are and where we are as its starting point. Remember day one, starting point. Where am I? Where do I want to go? That's the desire. That's the wish. These considerations should make us more confident and more comfortable. We are employing a force which is much greater than we believe ourselves to be, yet it is not separate from us and needing to be persuaded or compelled or inveigled into doing what we want. It is the substratum of our own being, which is continuously passing up its manifestation on the visible plane and becoming the personal self to which we often limit our attention without considering whence it proceeds. But in truth, the outer self is the surface growth of the individual, which lies concealed far down in the depths below, and which is none other than the spirit of life, which underlies all forms of manifestation. So I want you to get into this article. I want you to study it. Remember, study yourself like you're a scientist. The best project is you. And your current results are just a reflection of the inner image you're holding. So if you're not getting the results that you want, you have a limited image. You have an image of lack. You have an image maybe of disease or sickness, or maybe you have an image of poverty. So it's the inner image. The universal essence of life is a continual becoming into form. Remember, thoughts are things. Thought creates the form. Everything's created twice. First starts within, then it shows up on the outside. I hope this is landing. Is this starting to land somewhere? Okay. And since we are part of nature, capital N, we do not need to go further than ourselves to find the life-giving energy at work with all its powers. Hence, all we have to do is to allow it to rise to the surface. Just like that just feels so good. Like, doesn't that just feel like you can just, and I would encourage all of you right now, just take a deep breath in and then let anything go that's not serving you. You know, I look back at before I made the decision, we're going to get into that on day 4, to study with with Bob. And I think it was all the years with Tony Robbins that really built up my confidence, because I was like, making decisions, and to move into mentorship, personally having my butt kicked by the late, great Bob Proctor. I really felt that I was flawed. I also felt like maybe, again, like, I don't know, some people are just luckier. I grew up in a little bit of cray cray. So I thought, oh, and every picture of me as a kid too. I mean, my background's all like many years of energy and vibrational medicine. So my hands were always like this. Every picture of me, and this is your emotional stress release point. So you can see me when I'm 5 and 7, like, oh my God, what's going on around me? It was crazy. And I know some of you might have grown up with a little bit of that as well. But that is what formed my inner image. And I was not confident. I really lacked a sense of wealth. And so I oftentimes, right, I devalued myself and I felt really limited. So again, you should take another deep breath, study this article yourself. You were made perfect. You have everything you need to create the greatest life and to move from this frequency to this frequency. But you got to spend time dreaming. Remember, thinking causes feeling. Feeling is a language of the subconscious mind. When you wrote out that script of real wealth, that's really what it is. It's a script of real wealth and your goals. How did you want it, and this is where you got to live from the law of assumption. If you are living by that script and you're assuming, because we're all assuming something, which by the way, you get the evidence of your assumption all the time. When you are living through that script, it's like, how would you have woke up today? What would that have looked like? Maybe you were in your dream home overlooking the water. Maybe you had a dream partner that you were just snuggling with in your bed, or maybe he brought you a coffee in bed. I don't know. Maybe you had a publisher who just called you and was like, ring, ring, your book just hit, international best-selling. It's on the #1 New York bestseller list. Like, you've got to live in that assumption. It's got to feel really good. Can you feel that? Good. I see Raylyn nodding. See Rebea nodding. You've got to live from that assumption. And it's got to feel really good. And remember, feeling is the secret. We call this imagined reality. Now, what does the paradigm do? Well, you all woke up today, and maybe you have a nagging partner and your car broke down, or you don't have enough money to cover some bills. And so this is what you focus on. You continue to live from the outside. And that's why it's so important that you study yourself, because your paradigm is so strong, it will continue to take you to the outside and you will continue to get the evidence. And your ego's like, see, I'm right. Some people are just luckier. Life isn't fair. Poor me. We just did an acting class with students, right? So this is where you live from. And I feel for you, because I lived most of my life from this space. And it's not a fun place to live from. I call it the hell realm. So once you get hooked on these kind of practices and principles, and you start to study the mind and you start to understand universal law, just ask the team. And we've got a few students here. It's like freaking amazing. It's so amazing, because no longer are you a victim. No longer are you a plaything, but you are the star of your own movie, and you've been the star all along, and you can rewrite the movie. It's really exciting. So today is all about you being the star. Sure, you've gone through some really big obstacles and challenges. Every great movie, think about the hero on a mission. That hero's gone through all sorts of challenges. Remember, when did we grow the most? We grow the most through challenges. We grow the most through those obstacles. And then one day, they become the very thing that we build our life on. I love that saying, your mess is your message. Because I believe that life isn't happening to us, but it's happening for us and it's happening through us. And so the world needs you, but the real you. You need to be yourself. Stop trying to be something else. What do you really want? Not what your partner wants, not what your kids want, not what your employer wants, but what do you really want? And then you got to write that script of that person. And this is who you are, by the way. You wouldn't be able to think it if it wasn't there. It's just like, cell phones. These were already here. We've just had a few people make them better, right? Steve Jobs, he just took all the other cell phones, right? How many of you had a BlackBerry? I did in the Cayman Islands. Man, I loved my BlackBerry. And, but all Steve Jobs did was he just decided, well, I'm going to make it even better. This used to fit in a whole room. My family are engineers, and they said their computer for their engineering business was a whole room. That's in here. Bob would say, the first rocket ship that they sent to the moon had the exact same energy that's in this phone. Can you imagine? It's like amazing. So we're at a time where we're being asked to lead. We're being asked to grow. And so you've got to align the pictures within first. And you've got to write out that script, most essentially of you. And the script, your beliefs. Remember, a paradigm is just a multitude of habits. So, the star that's up here, what are the habits of this person? How do they think? How do they interact with others? By the way, your silent thoughts are really powerful. Your frontal part of your brain, when someone walks by that's maybe not in the best shape, your frontal part of your brain stops you from saying, wow, you're fat, just so you know. That's what your frontal part of your brain does. If you've had brain damage, it doesn't work anymore. And that's where that person who's had damage to the front part of their brain just says whatever they think. But that front part of your brain stops you from saying those things. But we talk to ourselves all the time that way. It's your silent thoughts. Thinking, right? Thoughts are things. So you would never say another negative thing about yourself or another person if you understood the power of your thoughts. Is this landing somewhere? Yes, it's landing. Okay. Your thoughts. And so remember that the world that you're experiencing, because environment is but a looking glass, is just a reflection of the thinking and of the pictures that you have within. So this is where we got to go in now. This is where we, this is like the star of your own movie. How does that person think? What do they believe? What are their habits? Your beliefs, right? They have to be positive. Your beliefs have to be aligned with prosperity and wealth. That's why I said put on a sticky note, wealth and prosperity. So anytime your mind starts thinking about poverty or limitation, you see your sticky note. You're like, wealth, prosperity, right? Because that's your birthright. We've been walking as a overall consciousness on this planet. We've been walking in our path backwards. And yet our creator wants us to win. But our creator doesn't do the work for us. Each and every one of us has to do the work, right? We have to do the work. And this is a good thing. So who here is committed to doing the work? Let me know in the chat box. Some of you are a little quiet. I see the dream team, they're on top of it, because they understand this. Again, it's about raising that frequency. Who's in? Dina, it's so great to see you. Dina's the first one. I'm in. Of course, Ray Lynn is in. Rocking her new haircut. Erica, Roberto. Yes, let's go. Okay, one of my favorite books is this thing called You. By the way, when I study a book, I study it like a scientist. I read The Power of the Subconscious Mind, which you're reading The Law of Assumption. I read that book every day for a year. And I don't share that to impress you, because leadership is not about, oh, look at how great I am. I want to share that to impress upon you. Many of you are gathering information. You go from, you're like an older version of me, right? I used to be, you know, how a lot of women are with shoes, or maybe men are with cars. I don't know, but I was that way with books. I had like so many books, and that was my goal, to read 100 books a year. Oh my gosh. I was on so much information overload. And that's one thing that Bob taught me. Stick with one book, stick with one mentor, stick with one program till it starts to show up in your life. You got to start to see the evidence that it's working, because you're doing it through repetition. So the book I'm currently reading, because all of you like to ask me these things, is called This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes. I'm going to share this thing called you, right? We're in the yourself. Today's all about you being the star of your own movie. Now, remember I said that the paradigm's the devil, right? We can think of the devil as darkness. I love how Debbie Ford would say that in order to get to the light, you got to go through the darkness. So we don't look at darkness as bad or good. It just is. Again, all those obstacles, all those challenges, they got you to this point. That's why you're here. Congratulations. Give yourself a high five. Woohoo! Because the only people, friends, that don't have problems, they're in graveyards. And one day we will be there as well. But you woke up. So really celebrate the fact that you woke up and you have another day of living. And you do everybody around you a disservice when you're not showing up as, you know, the star of your own movie, as the snowflake that you are. So here we go. There is a lamp within you already that is lit. As you walk through the tunnel, the darkness will disappear because of this light. You will find that other half of yourself, and you will discover that this tunnel is your own mind. It is done unto you as you believe. In interpreting this saying, however, you must pause after the word as. It is done unto you as you believe. Meaning, and you will discover that what Jesus was saying is that life it does not only respond to your beliefs, it responds after the manner of your believing as you believe. It is like a mirror reflecting the image of belief. While the laws of the mind, like all laws of nature, are neutral, good must overcome evil. Darkness cannot overcome light, but light can neutralize darkness. This is why Jesus said, if you seek the kingdom first, everything else will be added. And in this everything else, it is included that all things in this life that make for the full livingness and joy and peace and happiness and health and harmony and success that rightfully belong to a divine being. The only warning that Jesus made against the use of the highest of laws was of your being was that it should not be used destructively. That's why when we're moving towards something that we really desire, it has to be good. We don't want that desire, those goals, to take away or cause harm in any way to anyone else or any other being. Okay, so that's really important that you're checking in with that. But I thought I would read that to you this morning as I was studying. So we know that the paradigm is the problem, but we know also that it's through the darkness, right, that we get to the light. So celebrate. When I see paradigm show up, by the way, I study this material every day. So does the dream team, as Yamilia was sharing yesterday. When a paradigm shows up, woohoo, another level of that genetic and environmental programming. For me, I'm super inspired because if I don't lead, I pass this stuff on to my kids. We're all just a product of a product. They have their own stuff too, by the way, because some of you carry a lot of guilt as parents. They come in and they have their own stuff, but it's up to us as parents to lead. I really believe that. And you are the leader that you're looking for. So let's create the image of what real wealth is, right? Your habit nature, your thoughts, again, your attitudes, how you walk, how you talk to people. the silent thinking. That's why the silent prayer is so important, right? It's so important that you align that with those big ideas around real wealth and around, of course, your goals and your dreams. Got it? So I want you to take action on this exercise. I want you to have fun. Tag us at Diamond Mind Consulting because we want to encourage you to get uncomfortable. Why do we want you to get uncomfortable? And also we want to hold you accountable because many of you are stuck. That's why you continue to get the same results year after year after year. Some of you have taken action. And of course, you're understanding now that manifestation and the laws of the mind are not just woo-woo, that this is real. By the way, this is science. When you have negative thoughts, right? What does it do? It moves the cells in your body to a negative pole. How many of you have had this experience? You wake up in a bad mood, right? You're thinking negative thoughts, you stub your toe, the car doesn't start, the kids are being brats, you know, the business is not doing what you need it to do. It's because you've moved your cells to a negative pole. By law, you, because we're all magnets, we covered that, you attract more lack, more limitation, and more victim consciousness for you. When you shift your thinking and you start working with your mind and the laws, you vibrationally move your cells to the positive pole, and you can only attract wealth and prosperity from that pole. Got it? Clear? Okay, so that is today's session. I want you to take action. I want you to have fun. If you don't have an advisor, let us know. I will be, some of you that have come in, I will be asking some of the advisors to support and check on you because we want to see all of you taking massive action. Our goal as a team is we want to see you reaching those big goals. We want to see you moving towards greater levels of wealth. So thanks, team, for being here. Have a great day. I see Dina. Are we posting the Canva assignment on the website as well? No, just once you've done it, just take a picture, Dina. You could take a picture of your computer or on your phone and just tag us on media. I know you're on Facebook. You could just tag us on Facebook and we'll make sure that someone's supporting you. If you need help, you could always send it to your Dream Team advisor as well. But we would suggest you just tag us in your own media. We're going to see those tags and we're going to get you in the draw, okay? And then we'll see you tomorrow for day 3 as we are going to be diving into faith and fear, which I've touched on, but we're going to be diving into that tomorrow, okay? So make sure to show up and have a great day, everybody. Yamili, is there any other things that maybe we need to share with everybody or any questions that came up? Nope. Okay. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, and there's still time to invite friends. We have the replays. By the way, fastest way to reach your goals and dreams, help somebody else reach their goals and dreams. That's why we're offering this to you. So we just want you to continue sharing the love. And again, that will also support not only somebody else, but it'll also support you. Okay. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.